start now. That means cut. Yes.
Well, I'm here with Owen Allen, who is the VP of Solutions at Pingar. Owen?
Hi, Christian. How are you?
How's it going?
Good to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you.
Well, thank you.
So back at the SharePoint conference, so I had a great conversation with one of your counterparts who gave me a full demo of the Pingar
Medallion, our chief researcher.
There
yes.
You go. And it just really, there's a bunch of interesting things going around this space. I've actually met a couple vendors that are doing some interesting things with metadata.
Yeah.
And it really kind of goes back to, you know, I talk a lot about metadata and taxonomy. And some of the questions that people generally ask is, you know, why do we have to go and build it? Can't we buy a taxonomy? Or can't the technology do it by itself? And so maybe tell us about yourself, your role, and a little bit about your company, and then we'll just kind of talk about it. And then what's different about this episode as well is that Owen's actually going to show us some stuff. So
well, we'll try it out and see if it works, right?
All right.
So Pingar is a 4-year-old company. We have PhD researchers who focus on natural language processing. And the research has been going on for about 4 years. The product, entity extraction, has been out for 1 year. But it's only been in the United States for a few months. So we are trying to make a lot of noise. We're trying to help people understand.
It's kind of like
why
the Beatles coming to the shore, right?
That's right.
All right.
Haircut. Thanks a lot. Okay, so anyway, what I was saying was that you're right. There's a lot of confusion around metadata and taxonomy. And in fact, Dux always tells us we should never use the word SharePoint, and I realized that the last place I spoke, I had the word SharePoint and the word metadata in my session title. 2 strikes of death. I'm going to have to rechange my session title. But I believe that, so I've been trying for years, 15 or 16 years or whatever, to try and get people to tag their content so that metadata could be associated with content, so that the greatness that's in SharePoint could apply, or other document repositories. And I've never been able to do it. I always run out of candy bars before they tag their content. And so when I first saw Pingar and how it generates content using computers, I realized computers have to be the way to do this, and I needed to be a part of Pingar. And so that's why I've joined them, and that's why I'm trying to help figure out how to get people to understand what they do.
You know, it's if you think about it, I mean, so I've been working with collaboration platforms, with knowledge management platforms since the mid-late 90s.
Sure.
And if you think of whether it's ERP or a CRM system, or my background with like portfolio management and project management data, you know, everybody wants the tool just to populate itself. I mean,
right.
The hard part of those kinds of systems, and SharePoint is the same in this respect, is without that data, it's very difficult to automate, and all of the process technology efficiencies that we buy the technology to do, it just doesn't work. You need to have the metadata in the system.
Well, at least you can't realize the full value.
Right.
There's so many features of SharePoint that are dormant until you have metadata, and then they come to life.
And this is especially true for the social capabilities that everybody's you know, excited about, and yet so much of it is driven by the metadata management, you know, the metadata. So you need to start somewhere.
Right.
Having some tools like this, like the Pingar solution, to automate that can help a lot of organizations to really cut down on the manual input.
I think so, and you mentioned taxonomy at the beginning. There's a difference between taxonomy and metadata as well, whereas what we populate metadata that is a precursor to generating a taxonomy. So people can take the metadata that we populate, do an analysis, and figure out what terms their organization is actually using, and use that to modify or clean up their existing taxonomy. Or if they don't have one, they could use it to help build the taxonomy. So we're not directly involved in building the taxonomy at this point. We're involved in generating the metadata that exists in the documents, without and potentially that could influence the taxonomy.
Do you have a service component to Pingar?
We don't. Right now we're an API. We only sell through partners.
Because it seems like there'd be a big service component to that. Like, you can go and create the metadata. It doesn't mean that there's not decisions to be made. There's not still effort behind that to go in there and
certainly
go through it.
There's a big service component. In fact, we're such a discrete technology that there's no way we could be a solution. It takes service partners or ISVs to build the larger solution around the extraction that we do.
until the androids are able to take over that work and handle that. So.
We're doing our best to enhance that right now to pave that path. But let me tell you, there's different. You also mentioned there's different players in the space.
Yeah.
And if you look at a photograph through different filters, red, yellow, blue, you see different things. You see different information. And if you look at a document through different technologies, you also extract different information. So if you have somebody who focuses on matching, they'll match a word against a taxonomy, they're going to pull out all the words that match your taxonomy. Find somebody that uses business rules, they're going to find the right taxonomy based on the business rules you've defined. Or somebody that looks at the folder where you save the document and pulls that as metadata.
And others that are looking at specific industries. I ran across a company down at the SharePoint Saturday Johannesburg that's based out of South Africa that is focusing on the social aspect. So they're drawing data out of the social interactions and providing it back and enhancing the social interactions.
Right.
I ran into at the Taxonomy Boot Camp, part of the CAM World and the SharePoint Symposium in DC last year, and met a company that is specifically for the governmental entities and has a specialty just within that. I don't know if you've run into. I'll send you the info. I'll go dig and find that company. But and I know that there are also providers that are looking specifically at industries like legal.
Right. In fact, I was at Legal Tech just a couple of weeks ago, and there's a lot of people who are very interested in entity extraction. So the conferences that we've been to this year include legal, include pharmaceutical, and include product lifecycle management software. And all of these places are able to extract content today from structured content like workflows and from forms, but not from the unstructured content that's the paragraphs of free-range text. And that's where Pingar specializes in. So we're able to complement a lot of these existing metadata technologies.
Well, let's take a look at it.
Well, here's a little example.
Well, I'm going to switch around and I'm going to actually show the screen over here.
All right. Makes for a more effective demo when you see the screen, right?
Not that people don't want to just sit and look at you, Owen. Okay.
I'm not fooling myself about that. So here's an article in Redmond Magazine called, or redmondmag.com, What to Expect in SharePoint 15. And what I've done is I copied this text, and I'm going to go to our demo, which is on apidemo.pingar.com, and I'm going to paste that text into our little demo page. And inside of this demo, I'm going to choose a number of entities that Pingar knows how to identify. Let's see if there's any of these that we can pick out of here, and I'm going to hit run. And so we know how to identify all those things over on the right. I'm going to click run. We probably ought to change this to the United States. And if I click run, well, it didn't take the update. Well, if I change it to the United States and then I hit run, that's used for extracting addresses using the United States address formation rather than New Zealand. And so now what we see is that it's pulled out the most relevant keywords from the article. It's pulled out a number of people, and it's pulled out a number of organizations. Can you see these okay?
Yep.
And locations and addresses. Well, that's not really an address. URLs and dates. And so as you pick out these people, locations, organizations, and keywords, now the question is, how do we put this into how do we use it? How do we put this into SharePoint? Well, there's a number of companies that put this into databases. We also play in the big data space. And so if they build a Hadoop database and do some map and reduce on this across their entire corpus, they can do a lot of analysis to figure out where their documents are actually focusing on and where their authors are focusing on. If I go into Word, and I pasted the text into Word, and I'm going to save this Word document, and let's save it as Redmond Mag. And I'll close this Word document, and we'll go to SharePoint. And here's a SharePoint document library, which has 4 additional metadata columns: keywords, locations, organizations, and people. This is also configured with managed metadata services. So each of the terms inside of here is also available from a filtering and grouping perspective using managed metadata services. So now I'm going to upload that document called Redmond Mag. And as the document gets uploaded, the integration that we've built with SharePoint, not only does it automatically send it to the web service to populate the columns, but it also populates the Edit Properties window right here. So as the document is uploaded, users can now see the metadata that we've extracted and filter it or extract it if they wish, or delete what they don't want or add what they do want to the properties of the document. So as I save this, it goes right into the document library, and those columns inside of Managed Metadata Services gets updated. And while that Edit Properties window is open, that is the most important time when a user is saving the document, because that's when the user feels the most responsibility for adding content. That's almost the only time when we can get them to tag content. And so if we prompt them with that kind of input, that can make things much more efficient. After it's saved in the document library, they're never going to, or they're very rarely going to update content again.
Yeah.
If we wanted to, we could then use the managed metadata columns to sort and to search for those fields inside the document library.
Great. So, I mean, you guys are definitely talking to a lot of different partners. I mean, this is something where this kind of technology can be added into other solutions. So, what kinds of solutions are you guys looking into now, or what are your plans? Where are you guys going now?
Well,
what you can talk about, obviously.
Sure. Well, it's not a full solution as it is. As it is by itself, it just populates the document library. But it's a seed for enhanced search applications, because these, like this list of keywords or locations, these can be the facets or the refiners for advanced search applications. If you know what you're searching for, full text search works great. But if you don't know what you're searching for, metadata such as this can help you find what it is that you're looking for, or grouping your documents. It also enhances business intelligence solutions, so that I can sort and find all my documents that deal with all the cities in the Southeast, for example, or all of the people who also work for a certain company name. This enhanced metadata we would never have otherwise, and it opens up our documents and extracts this information that our corporations have that right now is laying dormant.
You know, I've often said that when going into Microsoft back in 2006, that I said, where are all the DBAs? I mean, my background with knowledge management systems and database management systems was that I was always surrounded by DBAs,
right.
People that just were constantly mining that data and providing value out to the rest of the organization. And where are they in the SharePoint space? And I think with the adding of these business intelligence capabilities, the expansion of the BI capabilities, and with these kinds of tools that we're going to start getting more and more out of the content that we have in the system, it's kind of opening up that world. So we're slowly getting back to the place where our business analysts and the DBAs are able to really kind of get their teeth into things and provide more value out of these systems.
Boy, and that's one of the promised benefits of BCS or Business Data Catalog in the previous version, right? That it are bringing this data out of these locked file cabinets into where people can actually use them. And if Pingar can help assist in that and extract some of that information out and make it more usable or reusable, we're happy to do that.
Well, it's an interesting space. I mean, there's definitely for anyone that's looking at Pingar or any other vendors that are in this space. I think it's one of those things where there's plenty of room for the pie to get bigger, and a lot of different vendors that have different specialties focusing on different industries to come in and to do this kind of work. Just like you said, is to really help us to kind of realize the potential of these systems that we've been spending so much money on, and really driving efficiency of these systems.
That's right. Whether it's focusing on migration of documents coming in, or whether it's backfile conversion of documents that are already in SharePoint, or enabling search, we expect that there's a lot of opportunities for all the people who are playing in metadata and who are experimenting with taxonomies to have some work.
Well, great. Well, for those that, how can people get a hold of you? They've got questions.
Pingar.com, Pingar.com, and yes, that's what it sounds like. Pingar.com.
Pingar. And you're at just Owen at Pingar?
Owen.Allen.
Owen.Allen at Pingar.com, and you can find him on Twitter as well. He's out there occasionally speaking up. So
That's right.
and we'll provide the links over to that. So
Thanks for the time.
All right, thanks a lot, Owen.